Hello, passengers. Welcome aboard Long Walk Talks Lost. This is your pilot speaking. My name is David Hensley, and I'm the owner and creative director of Long Walk Productions. I am joined tonight by my two co-pilots,
Robert Bradford,
Cara Hayes.
And we are continuing our discussion of our 20-year Lost retrospective. So in tonight's episode, we are going to be discussing the next three episodes, which is episode 210, the 23rd Psalm, 211, the Hunting Party, and 212, Fire and Water.
Hard to believe we are almost halfway through season 2 already.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
And, Fire and Water leads perfectly into our dinner theme, which we all enjoyed eating, but none of us could remember exactly how we landed on that. It was the damnedest things. We were like, wait, was that your idea? Was that my idea? I don't remember. The dinner theme for these past three episodes was fondue, because we made a tenuous connection between episode 212, Fire and Water, and fondue, which is fire and cheese.
Bread and cheese.
And just dunking in general being an important thing.
Yeah, that's a good...
Yep.
So really, we were baptizing all those pieces of bread and vegetables before we ate them.
Hell yeah.
Just like the Christians do.
Someone in the United States has done a communion fondue. That I refuse to believe that has not happened anywhere in this country.
Well, it's going to happen now. I think that's what we should do next time.
I'm going to start my own church, and that's going to be the cornerstone of it. Baptizing babies in fondue.
Gina and I just joined a new church. Do not try to lure her away already.
I'll make the fondue for the church.
I was going to say, I think I got a pretty strong argument there. All right, let's get into the episode. We're starting with episode 210, the 23rd Psalm, which is our very first Echo episode. It is day 50 on the island, so we're moving right along here after we spent God knows how many, like 15 episodes over the course of a week, their time. This is all about the tragical history of Mr. Echo. Great episode. Really interesting look into his history. You guys have any general thoughts before we dive into like the random notes that I took while we were watching this?
Well, after the first season kind of gave us the 411 and all the characters, like there's more to flesh out, but by the end of season 1 we kind of know the deal of most of our main survivors. So the nice thing about season 2 is, all right, tail section, new survivors, new flashbacks, new swerves, interesting twists. And Ana Lucia's episode, as we discussed, did not really give her a backstory that made her feel richer as a character. So it's really nice for them to knock it out of the park with Echo, and just in a way that there's not a lot in there that is especially surprising. You can kind of work out the story based on like what we know of the plane and who was on it from fairly early on. But it just, everything just feels like it's giving this guy so much texture, and I love seeing it. And I love the way the actor just builds on showing us the Echo on the island in the guy he was back when he was a Nigerian warlord, but also how he's different. Like it's not a super overt thing, but yeah, he just finds a lot of great notes to play with that.
And I have to say, of all the episodes in this show, this is the one I remember the clearest. Like even this many years later, there are still, even before rewatching it, there were still parts of that episode that I could see in my mind, and just getting to rewatch was like, oh yeah, no, that's what I saw, and so that to me tells me it's a really good episode.
Yeah, and I think just from a writing standpoint, it works really well, because this, in the space of 45 minutes, half of which are his flashbacks, we find out basically everything that we as the audience need to know, and I feel like that's a really strong point in the writer's favor, considering there were episodes in season 1 where you just did not get that, or it just wasn't compelling. The downside to that is also, I know sometimes how multi-episode arcs for these characters go. Like we've mentioned many times that we really don't need any more Kate episodes. I don't remember. I know Mr. Echo has at least one or two more flashback-centric episodes, right? But
I think it's 2. One more in this season, and then one in the third.
I really don't need any more. I feel like I'm hoping to be pleasantly surprised. I'm sure I will be.
I don't remember them, but I will absolutely take them.
Yep.
The more screen time he gets, the happier I am.
Exactly. We love Mr. Echo on this show.
Yes.
The first actual note that I took, when Michael finds Locke changing the combo to get into the gun room, Locke tells him, can't have anyone who wants one just walking in.
Which is interesting, given that in the next episode, he's going to kind of rebuke Jack for thinking they can, go get Michael and make him come back. He has that line, who are we to tell anyone what they can and can't do? This episode, he's got no problem assigning himself sole control over, the use of deadly force on the island.
John's Armory. I can't remember who this is in regards to, but I just wrote down, and it's because you brought it up, Robert, the sheer terror of Mr. Echo walking towards you menacingly.
So I remember it's because it's when Charlie's on the beach, Jen's fishing, and Charlie's just kind of singing and goofing around, but Echo has discovered the statues after Claire has to kind of awkwardly mention the Virgin Mary statues to Echo, just like she did to Locke earlier, because it's not an organic thing to work into conversation. But yeah, Echo storms off to confront Charlie because he recognizes where they come from. And Jen doesn't... It's not a huge moment, but the last time Echo was walking towards him with that sense of purpose, Jen got beaten unconscious with a log. So he's kind of looking like, is he looking at me or the Hobbit? Who's about to get beaten here?
Yeah. I would not want to turn around and see Mr. Echo walking towards me menacingly.
Ooh.
This episode, I feel like it's been a minute since we've gotten a Sawyer nickname check-in, but we get one from him. We're going to get a few of these. I think I took one for every episode that we watched, and they're all derogatory towards Hurley. In this one, he calls Hurley Pillsbury.
So mean.
Yeah. 2005 was just sort of the Wild West when it came to offensive jokes.
I mean... I give nicknames to people, but I typically don't say them out loud, or to their faces at least.
The derogatory ones, no. Those are reserved for when that person is not around.
Exactly.
I guess they've toned down his racism a little bit in the second season, but they have,
Increased the fat shaming?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
Hey, it was an open target in 2005.
No, it's... in 2005.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, we like to think that as a society we've come along, but open any fashion website. That's a rabbit hole we're not going to go down because we're talking about Lost. This is the episode where Mr. Echo sees and encounters the smoke monster for the first time, and I wrote down a love story for the ages.
Oh, this was so cool. Like, I'm sorry, if I was that smoke monster, I'd be like, bye.
Such a cool shot. That pan around and through the back of the smoke monster as Echo's just standing there staring it down, like not afraid, not aggressive, but just unmoving in the face of this thing. And it's so cool to see. I mention these occasionally, but it's an image that I can always just call to mind when I think of this show. Just what it like, that shot of him with this thing that we have never fully seen before. We've just glimpsed, and the first time he sees it, so do we.
Yeah, it's the best look that we've gotten at Smokey so far, and the CGI is miles ahead of where it was in season 1. I remember us making fun of like the weird, awkward glimpses that we got of Smokey, but here in like fully rendered, looks great, and the image of Mr. Echo being the first person to really confront and stare down the monster after Locke tried at the end of season 1. He thought he was going to pull a Mr. Echo and stare down the smoke monster, and that did not work out for him. But here we see he kind of kowtows it. It's great to watch.
I want to be Mr. Echo when I grow up. There's
a lot to unpack there. We're going to throw out the rest of this episode and just unpack what you just said. Anyway, kind of just going through. We didn't take a whole lot of notes for this one. We did for the next two.
It felt like one that I was just watching.
Exactly, yeah.
This was also when we were eating, so...
Yes.
True.
The focus was cheese.
Yes, cheese and bread, and we didn't have any meat. Just bread and apples and a bunch of veggies.
Proves you don't need meat.
I don't know
but I
about
wanted
that.
all the...
Yeah.
Okay, shut up, Cara.
Digging yourself into a hole there.
Oh, like I always do.
Yep. Hurley like officially meets Libby for the first time, or they really hang out for the first time in this episode, and it's adorable. Surely nothing tragic is going to happen.
No. And Robert, you had the absolute best line.
So I think this was actually when Kate is talking to Sawyer on the beach and they're being flirty, and then Jack walks up. But yeah, Dr. Cockblock making his house calls.
That was so damn funny. Oh my God.
I need you to write ad copy, Robert.
Please.
And the last actual note that I took, when Claire kicks Charlie out of their little beach resort, as he's gathering up his stuff, he grabs his guitar case and 2 suitcases. And as he's walking away, I just couldn't help but wonder, what do you need 2 suitcases for? What do you have?
Rolls and rolls of finger tape.
Get out of my head. That's what I was thinking too.
That's like, we've seen Charlie has 2, maybe 3 outfits on the island. And he's been burying, as we see, the Virgin Mary statues.
Well, maybe he sleeps in one of them.
Maybe.
He's small enough.
He is.
Just
he
crumple him up and...
Well, he is a hobbit, after all.
There you go.
But yeah, that was just a weird observation. Like, as he was walking away, what's in that other suitcase?
Maybe Claire packed an extra one for him to take and go, just to super emphasize how kicked out he was.
And Robert, you added something to the end here.
So it's something that I like about what they do with Echo, which is his story is one of change and redemption. He is this guy who lives a super violent life and then has an opportunity, takes it, and becomes a man of God. But he has a conversation with his brother where he's trying to use the church flight that his brother as a priest has access to for relief missions. He wants to use those to smuggle drugs out of the country. And when his brother tries to refuse him, Echo insists, everything I've done because I needed to survive. And we see in the first episode, he kills a man because the other option is they would have made his brother do it or just killed everybody. And we don't see a lot of how he reflects on it, but we'll see as we go through Echo's journey that he's a guy who changed, but he is going to defend the things he's done. That he's done things that most of us would recognize as horrible, but for him, that's just the world he grew up in. That's what he had to do and had to be. And not to get too far off into this, but the title, the 23rd Psalm, which he quotes at the end of the episode, the story of David is, in fact, a guy that basically God chose because he was really, really good at doing violence on God's behalf. I mean, not only that, but David was a general and a killer, and much like Echo, he stared down a monster that everybody else was terrified of. So I like it because it's easy to do the story of a guy who's like, oh, I hate everything I used to be, and now I'm different. And with Echo, it's not that clear cut that he's... And how quickly he steps back into that persona on the island shows that he struggles with the weight of what he did. Like, he is silent for 40 days after killing those guys, but he's not regretful about it in the way that you might expect. So I just love the writing for the character, and again, what they set up for him.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have to choose violence.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
I agree. Again, like just an overall testament to the greatness of the episode that we were just so heavily invested in it and our food. Not a lot of notes taken. This is like, in my opinion, just based on memory and what we've watched so far, this is top 5 Lost, right?
Yeah.
Like easily this episode has to be in the pantheon of the best Lost episodes.
For me, it's the running favorite to be the high point of the season, although I always list the finales a little bit separately because Lost is always really good with finales. Mm-hmm. But of just the episodes throughout, this is probably my favorite of season 2 as I think back and remember.
Fantastic. We get another really great episode following this one up before we get one that's really weird. We took more notes for the following 2 episodes than we have for any other episode that we've discussed so far, I think. And that includes like the season 1 finale in all its glory. We had a lot of thoughts and feelings about these next 2 episodes, starting with episode 211, The Hunting Party, which takes place over the course of days 51 and 52. And guess what, guys? It's another Jack episode.
Yay.
10 episodes later.
Did you want to find out more about his marriage?
Of course I did.
Well, good.
You never know too much.
Good, because you're gonna.
Yay.
If we needed any more evidence of Jack and his, I don't like what. I struggle with this. I like this episode for the on-island plot, but the backstory or like the flashback plot here is just more of the same, except flavored to just try to garner some more sympathy for Jack in the weirdest way possible.
I guess it's the idea of once you accomplish a miracle, which is how the only way anybody can describe his giving Sarah back the ability to walk. How do you wrestle with the rest of your career? Like, how do you go back and tell people, yeah, this surgery is not possible? Because, as happens in this episode, Gabriella comes back with, well, that other surgery was impossible, wasn't it? And so it's him. You do see a moment where he thinks it over and decides he's going to buy in. He's like, how do I know it won't work? How do I know I can't do it again? And he makes the decision and it blows up in his face. So I get that idea, but yeah, it's all just so soapy and so melodramatic. You even have like the gorgeous Italian daughter of the patient.
Yes.
Yeah, it's you expect like telenovela strings to play, and I know that's Italian, not Hispanic Latino, but everything about her performance is very soap calibrated. And that's not a knock on the actress. She's doing what the script wants her to do, but oh my gosh, it's so ridiculous.
Well, and it's just, God, it's so cliche.
Yeah, it really is.
I have never wanted to do that to a doctor that has done something for my family. I didn't do that to my mom's doctor. Like, when she got out of surgery.
You didn't you mean like afterwards? You didn't like research him beforehand and remind him of the last miracle that he performed?
No, I didn't do that. And I didn't like run up to her and like, try to kiss her.
Well, we were coming to the end of ER and just getting started on Grey's Anatomy as like television giants, which established hospitals as the horniest places on earth. So,
yeah. I mean, Scrubs was going around this time, and everybody in that show was fucking each other.
Yes.
A crossover where Dr. Cox comes in after this happened and chews out Jack would be something I would have paid so much money to see.
Oh God, yes.
I'll still pay to see it. Let's make it happen.
I'll chip in.
We're in the air. Like Scrubs is coming back. They're doing a revival.
Don't give up on yourself, Gladys. I'm sure if you go in there with a hammer, you can make that guy 60% more dead.
Yep, that's Dr. Cox.
Yep. So during that initial conversation that Jack and his father have with Gabriella, the most Italian name ever, and her father, Jack tells him that he's not a candidate, which is going to be thematically important in about 4 seasons. And as we keep bringing up, not something that the writers knew or had fleshed out at this point, but it's still an interesting choice of words in retrospect. But it's because of this scene that I wrote down, Dr. Shepard, Medicine Man, which we've already gone over, like the high expectations that are placed on Jack and that he places on himself. And this just goes back to the last Jack episode as well, where we talked about they're actually like grounding his father more here because he is completely reasonable in this episode in that maybe you shouldn't get these people's hopes up. And maybe you are spending too much time with this woman who's not your wife.
I mean, it's weird to think of Christian being reasonable.
Right.
And normal and not an asshole.
Well, and not a full-blown alcoholic yet. Just a sometimes alcoholic.
If I remember right, we have an episode coming up this season where we are going to get to see him back in kind of the late stage of his alcoholism, but yeah, it's interesting to see these periods in where you're like, okay, this is the guy who got this hold over Jack, who looms so large in his memory and that he struggles to deal with emotionally even after he's gone.
Yeah, we still have to find out about Ana Lucia and Christian.
Yeah, there we go. That's the second, the next flashback that takes us there.
Yep, they really start trying to push those character connections hard after that. Cara's dying. Get your will. We get more Michael and the armory type stuff. Is it Locke that says, "You gonna shoot me, Michael"?
I think it's Jack because Locke is unconscious in the armory when Jack comes in.
Yeah. Not a great question to ask. I mean, he is gonna kill 2 people before this season is over. It makes me wonder, like, if the writers knew this early in advance. I have to imagine that, at this point in filming, at least, they would have known how the season's going to end because they're really laying on Michael and Guns very thickly. Thickly?
Yeah.
Laying it on very thick.
It feels like the steps they're taking to writing Harold Perrineau off the show, which is, I've mentioned before, something I'm always kind of bummed about. But yeah, just the idea of him is, being ready to do violence for Walt. And like you said, Locke showed him how to shoot in the last episode. They're definitely laying the groundwork for that.
Yeah. Well, as everyone's arming up to go out after Michael, we get a whole bunch of shots of people getting, Jack grabs that AK-47, everyone grabs a pistol or two, and every single one of them sticks those guns in their waistbands.
Ugh.
Now, this is a fully stocked armory with assault rifles and shotguns and pistols and dozens of boxes of ammo. So you're telling me there are no holsters in there whatsoever?
No, Dharma didn't believe in holsters.
When we see the flashes of Desmond in the opening, I'm trying to remember, did he have a holster or did he just tuck the gun into the jumpsuit somewhere?
I feel like, because he is wearing like a full-body jumpsuit. I think he did have a belt with a holster on it. But no one else bothers with them. Just stick the gun in your waistband like they do in action movies, which is a terrible fucking idea. I don't know who out there needs to hear this, but unless you are very, very familiar with firearms and how to operate them, don't just stick one in your waistband.
Why?
Well, because it's a really good way to shoot yourself in the ass cheek or blow your dick off.
Well,
We've all seen 8 Mile.
Listen, that would absolutely help in certain situations. You know how I feel about this.
I agree that there are some people out there who should have their dicks blown off.
Yes.
But we like all of these characters.
Well,
And
Ana Lucia doesn't have a dick, so.
Well, yeah. But Dr. Shepard, Medicine Man, can't be out there shooting himself in the penis. Just
Guess
find
not.
a holster, Jack. That was a weird tangent to go on. I'm sorry. Just watching the episode, it annoyed me that was immediately what they... You have pockets. You're all wearing jeans or like cargo pants. Anyway.
TV writers love the drama of like pulling a gun from behind your back, even though that's probably one of the less convenient ways to draw one, I'm guessing.
It is because there are so many ways for that to go wrong. It could very easily get snagged on a tag or on your belt or just some loose fabric. It made more sense in the first season when they had no other holsters. They were just the marshal had one that I presume he was buried with.
Dumb.
Yeah, but the rest of his guns were just loose in that case.
Yeah.
So they had no other option. Here, I just find it hard to believe that the Dharma Initiative went to all the trouble of, for some reason, stocking this armory with so many weapons but no holsters.
Dumb hippies.
Yeah, fucking hippies. I'm sorry, that went on way longer than I meant for it to. So in the grand tradition of the main characters going off on their own, Jack, Locke, and Sawyer go off to track down and bring back Michael, and Jack forces Kate to stay behind. How many times so far has this worked out?
Not enough. Never.
Kate refuses to be left behind, and they should all understand this by now because it's not going to work out great for them later.
Nope. They're not going to tell me what to do.
Well, in a way it does, but in a very embarrassing and failure-feeling way.
I think, Robert, this one you threw in. How did Michael figure out to go north?
I think that might have been Cara. Was that your note about?
Maybe. Oh, yeah. Actually, I think that was me.
Yeah. We see a little bit of a conversation. Michael's at the computer in the hatch when he picks up the conversation with, we presume, Walt, Soggy Walt, who is now, in addition to being telepathic and telekinetic, also technopathic. Anyway,
it's like, Michael, you should never assume the preteen you're talking to on the internet is actually a preteen, especially not in this circumstance.
Yeah.
Boy, right?
And also, just don't talk to preteens on the internet.
Well, it would have been very convenient for all of them, in respect to getting off the island if Chris Hansen had showed up.
Oh, God, yes.
I also have this vision of Mr. Friendly behind a computer screen on the other end. Dad, I hope you can come rescue me soon.
But this is presumably where Michael figures out that he needs to go north, because we don't see the last thing Walt to him before Jack walks in, and Michael has to pointedly stare directly at Jack and not look at that computer screen. So I think that was the last message, which was just telling him to go north.
And how? Never mind. That's a rabbit hole I don't want to go down.
How did Walt?
Yes.
Again, as Robert pointed out, that might have not been Walt at all. It might have just been an excuse to get Michael headed north so that the others could ambush and kidnap him.
As far as I know, the creators have given kind of shrug answers on that they, when writing it, they assumed it was Walt, but they admit that, there's no reason to think he was near a computer or could have done that.
Oh, boy.
I don't even think at this point he is on the island anymore. Based on what we find out later, I think that they sent him back to the mainland, don't they? Not
until the end of the season. I think he's still with the others, though. Again, he might be on Hydra Island or whatever.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so it's possible, but still weird. We already talked about Christian Shepherd, who is occasionally right. I can't remember what this, Cara, I think you wrote down, do as I say, not as I do. What was this in reference to?
That was the whole, you shouldn't have an affair and, don't go stepping out on your wife.
Oh, yeah.
Do as I say, not as I do.
He specifically tells him there's a line, Jack, which is going to come back later in the on-island plot.
Yeah. And, much later in the show, we find out that he also had an affair, which resulted in Claire. Claire the affair. Get some more Sawyer nickname watches. Here he calls Locke Mr. Clean. Goes for the easy joke there.
Kind of surprised he kept that one in his back pocket for so long.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then when they have their confrontation with Mr. Friendly and the others, he calls Mr. Friendly Zeke. Again,
which for the longest time I thought was his name.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Totally did. I never gave it any thought of why Sawyer would know his name. But yes, I was like, oh, that's his name. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I'm stupid sometimes.
No.
I love that Locke, when Sawyer does the Mr. Clean line, Locke comes back with Sawyer's actual name, just mentions that he saw the manifest, was like, hey, your name's James Ford, right? And Sawyer just kind of grumbles that off.
Yeah, this is a season all about humbling Sawyer. Cara, you made a good point here. Why are they all yelling when they're trying to stomp through the jungle inconspicuously?
So annoying.
The whole point is not to alert A, the others, or B, Michael, until they find him, and then they hear some gunshots in the distance, and they all start shouting and running.
So stupid. Like, okay, first of all, this is a television show. You can whisper and we can hear you. This isn't the stage.
Right. But also, like, if you hear gunshots, my first instinct would be to, duck.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. It's been a minute since we got a good jungle run check-in. We didn't even the tailies did a lot of jungle trekking, but
yeah,
no
they were
running.
creeping. We didn't actually see them go in full-fledged terror at any point.
So it's really nice to see Jack, Sawyer, and Locke take off running through the jungle and showing off their jungle running skills. The conversation that happens before this, though, is just a big dick measuring contest, which is Cara put in the notes here, the big dick energy. Ugh.
Oh, God, it was painful.
There's a lot of testosterone in this little camp of Locke, Jack, and Sawyer. You put the three of them in a room together or, force them into being together long enough, they're eventually going to have a pissing contest.
Yeah, it's like nuclear war.
It's mainly between Jack and Locke, but Sawyer just kind of throws his in every now and then.
Because of course he does.
I'm just going to get in there and windmill it around, show it off. So they have their confrontation with the others, which gives us one of the most well-known scenes of the whole run of this show, which is the three of them are facing off against Mr. Friendly. And we know, because somebody takes a shot at Sawyer, that there's at least one more person in the jungle. But Jack decides that he's going to flex that big dick energy and accuses Mr. Friendly of just being theatrical. He thinks it's just him and one more guy. And then we get the light 'em up moment.
Oh, God.
All these years later, still so effective, still legitimately chilling.
And they're so close around them, too. It's not just like they see fires off in the distance. They're
Like within six?
Yeah, a dozen feet away.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Dharma Initiative is owned and operated exclusively by ninjas, apparently, because a dozen torches get lit up around Jack, Sawyer, and Locke, and they get countdown into giving up their guns very quickly after that.
Jack's, even then, he's still willing to push it. He still wants to just hold his ground and not back down. It's not till Kate gets dragged out that he finally gives up and walks away.
Yeah.
Which is why I was saying that, not at all intentionally, but Kate being there, giving him a reason to back down, did kind of save their lives, because they had no way out of that other than just Jack gets them all killed.
Yeah, Jack was willing to go full action movie with his AK. And in Rambo, it might work to just turn around and start spraying bullets in a semicircle. Here on Magic Island, he might have gotten one guy before the rest mowed him in half.
In his defense, they know for a fact now that the others are surrounding them in a circle, so if they all just drop to the floor, there's a decent chance a bunch of the others would shoot each other.
Yes, the old Briscoe County Jr. trick.
Speaking of, MC Gainey.
Yep, if anyone out there remembers that gem of a TV show from the early to mid-'90s starring Bruce Campbell, there's a reboot that I need to see happen. Old Briscoe County Jr., now in his twilight years.
Briscoe County the Third.
I'm here for it.
Yep. I put down here in the notes that I thought the A plot and the flashback plot felt really disconnected. It was this scene that made me realize what tied them together. Jack's suicidal overconfidence.
Yeah.
He is so sure, eventually, that he can save Gabriella's dad, and he is so sure that they're going to find Michael and bring him back, even in the face of a bunch of armed others, all the way up until he's not.
And even after Gabriella's dad dies, he's so sure he can at least go home and fix his marriage. At least he can do that. Aww.
Yeah, poor Jack. Robert, you made the best observation. Again, we had to write down. You drop one banger an episode, it seems like, in reference to Gabriella and like Jack's longing look at her. Robert said, "You're beautiful. You're single. I just killed your dad. You're the perfect woman for me." Is there any better way to start a relationship than killing your potentially future father-in-law?
That is a rich Italian romantic tradition. It does need to be noted. They have entire genres of plays about that.
Isn't that the sequel to Romeo and Juliet?
Basically. I mean, Tuscany is just lousy with dead dads.
Surprised we didn't have more people from that region on the show.
Isn't that what Live, Laugh, Love? Or no, what
Eat, Pray, Love?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that the plot of Eat, Pray, Love?
Never read
Eat,
it.
Pray, Love, Dead Dad. We already mentioned it as Shepard Christian points out. There's a line. Jack hasn't learned that lesson yet. Oh, no, there's a line thing that comes back twice here because Mr. Friendly tells Jack that he's drawing a line in the sand to separate the others from the Losties.
Honestly, pretty generous, given that it looks like it was a couple of hours walk inland for them at a pretty brisk pace. And he's like, yeah, everything ahead of that is y'all.
Again, though, that big dick energy just gets them in trouble because the logical thing to do here when Mr. Friendly is like, you can't go any further than this, we're allowing you to stay here, is like, motherfucker, I don't want to be here any more than you want me to be here. If you have a way to get all 40 of us off this island, I will fucking welcome it. We'll happily go. You don't need to threaten us.
Kate might be the only one who wants to stay.
It says something about the status quo of television that literally until you said that didn't occur to me as a weird thing for Jack to not mention, that they're there because of a plane crash and they would be happy to leave at the first opportunity.
Yeah, they're not conquistadors. I mean, I think the only other people who would want to stay on the island, we don't know this yet, but would be Rose and Bernard.
Yeah.
That, as we find out much later, that's the only reason that Rose is still alive. So yeah, the two of them and Kate with the whole island, or their half of the island, to themselves.
Fine by me.
And then was it, which one of you wrote the Jack wannabe fixer of broken women?
Me.
Yeah, Cara made a good observation here. He wants so desperately to fix people, his wife, Gabriella, Ana Lucia, and it just keeps not working out for him.
He can fix spines, but he can't fix women.
This fall on ABC.
It's a tale as old as time. The surgeon who could...
A tailbone as old as time, if you will.
Damn it, that was better. Well played. Well, and the last thing that we put down here, we get the first mention and very brief appearance, although I don't think that's actually the actress, but Alex gets name dropped. She will be important later once we get introduced to Ben Linus, which we're still a few episodes away from.
Well, and it is an Easter egg for people who have been, who remember Rousseau's whole thing, because I think
that's right.
She brought it up with Saeed. She was torturing him, trying to find out if he knew where Alex was. I don't remember if she actually used the name, but she kidnapped Aaron in the season 1 finale, hoping to trade for Alex. So it's not dwelled on by anybody, because none of like Jack, Sawyer, and Locke have no idea who that is, or no reason to recognize it. But it does confirm that yep, Alex is still among the others.
That is a good call out, Robert, because I had not thought about that. Great. The actual, sorry, I missed this. The actual last notes here for this episode. One of you put, "Damn it, Kate."
Damn it, Kate.
I think that was Robert.
I do. I mean, and I said earlier, like, she does give them a reason to back down, because Jack really just seemed like he was going to keep bullying forward till the others put a bullet in him. But it is frustrating for someone who's supposed to be kind of the strong female lead on this show, that she just screws up. Like, she goes chasing after them when the man told her to stay home and sit down. She doesn't do it, and she screws everything up for everybody. Yeah, we talked about, you'd mentioned them needing female writers, and they did have female staff writers. I think Elizabeth Sarnoff, one of the main producers, might have even been the ones who wrote the next episode. But yeah, that's just such a weird, sour note in the way the episode treats Kate.
Yeah, and they cannot decide whether she is a hyper-competent action movie badass or whether she's a bumbling idiot. It just, whatever the needs of the episode are, how competent is Kate is relevant to the plot.
Ooh, should we have a Kate competency meter?
We should.
It doesn't need to go that high.
It won't.
A 10 is manipulating your boyfriend and his friends into robbing a bank.
And then taking them all out non-lethally with dual-wielded pistols.
Yeah. A 9 is blowing up your father and then driving away on a motorcycle. A 1 is getting captured by, as far as we know at this point, a bunch of weird rednecks in the jungle. Anyway, moving on to Fire and Water, episode 212. I think we actually skip a day. We do. Apparently, nothing of note happens on day 53 on the
Everybody
island.
had dysentery.
Everybody just kept shitting. They all had what Nathan had, that poor Taylor.
Call back.
Who just could not stop shitting, and it got him killed. They had some bad boar on day 53.
Oh, can I jump back to one thing I forgot to mention?
Shitting?
I wish I could say. I was scrolling back up and I remembered Sawyer does put a marker down before walking away. He looks at Mr. Friendly and says, "You and me ain't done, Zeke." And we know he's gonna come back to collect that one down the road.
Yes. Nice. All right, so Fire and Water takes place over the course of days 54 through 56, and it is a Charlie episode. And it's a hell of a lot better than the last Charlie episode, because this one actually gives him a little bit of more sympathetic backstory, other than, hey, remember that time Charlie was a little shit to people?
Yeah.
Cara, you got a good one here at the top if you want to read it.
Yeah, if Charlie's dreams are this fucked up when he's not on drugs, and I don't want to know what they were like when he was on drugs. Damn.
Yeah, he's having some very vivid dreams throughout this episode, from some very poignant, symbolic dreams that are very weird, very messy. I think Robert put in here with the symbolism.
He sees his mother and Claire in like a Virgin Mary pose over Aaron's crib, which, okay.
And then Jesus Hurley.
Maybe foreshadowing to the end game?
which I don't remember, so don't tell me what that means.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, no, I really don't remember.
All right.
I have Swiss cheese brain.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, getting to the end of season 6 is going to be real fun for us then.
Holy
Oh.
crap. Hurley fed 5,000. He's, oh my gosh, now I want to watch the show in context of like Hurley pulling off miracles. He fed the crowd of people. He's, oh my gosh. Maybe they really were seeding this all the way back in.
Yeah, in the end of season 5, they crucify him too, remember?
Yeah, wow.
Sorry, Cara.
Lepidus was not screwing around at that point.
It's true. And we're only a few episodes away from finding out that he was immaculately conceived. Which, as we've already pointed out, that the concept of immaculate conception is not what people think it is. Robert gave us a very nice lesson on that. If you want to go back a few episodes, I think. When was that?
That was
the Clara
Locke's episode.
Oh, it was the Locke. That's right.
Because his mom claimed that he'd been virgin birthed and identified that as the Immaculate Conception. But nope.
And then a good point here, one of you put down, does Charlie's mom go in the good parent or bad parent category?
Assuming that the dream is accurate to something she actually said, because she gets him a piano when he's a little boy for Christmas, and it seems super nice, and she's like, play, Charlie, play. And he goes, and then she's like, that way you can play and make money and get us all out of this house. And it's just like, he's 9 years old. Let him play chopsticks for a few minutes.
Yeah. It's a nice little bit of like character establishment there that the first time we see Liam, he is opening up all of his presents before anyone else is awake, and he's gotten a bunch of shiny new toys, whereas Charlie's the one who gets like a significant, meaningful gift. Just very nice writing there. Sawyer's nickname watch. He calls, once again, we're back on the fat shaming train. He calls poor Hurley Jabba, as in Jabba the Hutt. Who does he call Jethro? I wrote that one down, but I don't remember.
I don't remember either. I remember him saying it.
I feel like he would have said it in reference to Mr. Friendly, but I don't remember where that would have come up.
Yeah, there's probably an audience member screaming at us which character it was.
Probably.
You have to... We didn't bring it up. This episode's a week late because we were all in shows and there was a lot going on, and oh yeah, and it snowed again last week.
No, it didn't.
Oh yeah, Cara's the only one of us who did not get to experience the snowfall,
Oh,
which is really sad. But yeah, 2 days in a row it snowed here where we're at, and it snowed several times throughout the month of February. But hopefully now that we're moving on into spring and neither one of us are in shows, none of us are in shows right now, we should be able to stick to a more consistent schedule for a little while at least. But yeah, so if I say all that to say, it's been more than a week since we watched these batch of episodes. Somebody who watched them more recently is probably going, oh yeah, Jethro was blank. So we get our first evidence here that Charlie actually can swim.
In his dream, at least.
Yeah. After claiming to Jack in season 1 that he couldn't rescue Joanna, who was cast out to sea, by
the water, that the other survivors didn't get her out there.
That's a very
We don't
good
like you. Get out of here.
I thought of that as the words were leaving my mouth. I was like, wait a minute, that sounds bad.
You have to walk home.
Oh man, swim all the way back.
If you see a ship, tell them where we are.
If you see the burning remains of a raft or a Dharma branded shark,
Oh my God.
you forgot about the Dharma shark, didn't you?
Did.
AKA the Dark. Anyway, yes, turns out Charlie can swim. At least Dream Charlie can. We'll see. The next time we see Charlie swim, it's going to be much, much sadder. We talked a little bit already about the heavy-handed symbolism that goes along with these visions Charlie is having. It's a lot.
Oof.
Robert, as the most like overtly religious of the three of us, what were your thoughts on this? I know you mentioned already like the Virgin Mary poses and Hurley Jesus, but
So a lot of it's just the stuff that's recognizable from pop culture. So kind of the Virgin Mary pose, Hurley in the robes. Echo actually spells out later on the story of the white bird flying across. That's an image taken from in the Gospels, when Jesus is baptized, heaven opens up and the light of heaven assumes the form of a dove and comes down upon him. So it's, this idea of purity and holiness coming down on someone who's been baptized. So, a lot of heavy stuff there, which, again, that's always been tied into Charlie's journey, that his heroine is literally in the statue of a Virgin Mary. So
heroin is his religion.
Yeah. Between this and Echo's episode, this is a very, overall, this is a very spiritual season of the show, the whole button metaphor and Echo and Locke, everything else. But this batch of episodes in particular does kind of bunch that up.
Well, if Hurley is Jesus and a white dove appeared when Jesus was baptized, then that means that the Hurley bird is a dove. With a dinosaur dove. Let's just go with that. They really, really didn't know what to do with Charlie in this season. It feels like he's just sort of been meandering in the background, and then this episode he goes crazy. He's having prophetic visions that lead him to kidnapping a baby and starting a fire. It's all just very weird, and I don't remember it getting much better for him. It's not until season 3 that we actually get good Charlie again.
I feel bad for him, and I mentioned it here that he goes so quickly from Claire, I've decided these visions mean that Aaron needs to be baptized, to running around like screaming and acting like a lunatic. And nobody else in this community of survivors seems to actually think he might need to get checked on. Locke assumes he's relapsed and gives him this, okay, I'm taking your drugs away. You have no right to be believed, you dirty junkie. And at the end of the episode, Jack comes to treat his injuries and be like, I need to just know that you're never going to do this again. But nobody just comes to him and asks, are you doing okay? We know you care about Aaron and Claire. This is not something you'd normally do. What's going on?
Mental health was not a thing.
Yeah, and I feel bad for him because he clearly needs someone to talk to at that point, and everybody just turns on him or ignores him so fast.
Yeah, I am ashamed to have just now realized, 20 years after the airing of this show, 35 episodes into this podcast, Charlie is a slang term for heroin.
Really?
Oh.
I just Googled that to make sure that I'm not crazy. Yes, Charlie is one of the many, many slangs like horse for heroin.
I never heard that one either.
Yeah. I mean,
that's a good thing because
Yeah, you are unfamiliar with heroin.
Yes.
That's for the best. And then Kara's note here. You want to take this one, Kara?
The wreckage is still lousy with tarps.
Oh, no, above that one.
Oh, above that one?
The music video. Or, I'm sorry, the commercial.
Oh my God. Oh, I hate them in diapers. It's so gross. I hate it so much.
Yeah, we see that in an attempt to make some money and cash in on some advertising, the band, Charlie's band, Drive Shaft, was doing a diaper commercial.
They were all wearing diapers.
They were all wearing diapers, and they changed the lyrics of the song to "You All Everybody" to "You All Every Butt-y."
Oh, I hate it.
I get that it's supposed to be a low point for all of them, but
it feels like a low point for us as watchers.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But then, as Kara pointed out already, we see Jack helping Ana Lucia make her little camp. On the camp proper, like she spent the last few episodes on the outskirts by herself, but she finally moves in, I guess, with everyone else, and Jack helps her put together little digs.
People remember they didn't like Shannon that much, so yeah, come on over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the wreckage of the plane is still fucking lousy with tarps. They never run out of them.
How many do you think a normal plane would carry?
It did just occur to me, though, that after Shannon died, Saeed probably took down their fuck hut.
After Jen and Son got to use it the one time.
Yeah. Oh, well, I don't think the two of them were just fucking in their own little tent right there in the middle of camp.
I thought they moved into the fuck hut.
No, Jin and Sun's fuck hunt is like right there, dead center in the middle of camp. Like when they walk out, it's either Charlie or Hurley. I can't remember which. Is also right there. Whereas,
but their screams don't bother the rest of the camp because the rest of the camp doesn't speak Korean.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
The sex tent that Saeed put up for him and Shannon was like over off the edge of the woods.
Oh yeah. You're right.
You know, we haven't seen Saeed do a lot this season. I would have loved like a cutaway to him crying while taking down his, his sex tent.
He does get a great moment in the last episode where Hurley and Charlie are listening to records in the hatch, and Saeed comes in just with a very much still getting over some stuff face, looks around and just goes, "This music is quite depressing," and then just stands there.
Yeah, poor Saeed. But maybe that's the source of all of Anna Lucy. Oh man, she killed Shannon and now she's getting her fuck parts. It just gets more tragic.
And funny.
Oh wow, she really does have that shot coming at the end of the season, doesn't she? Well, they take the Oasis comparison to its logical conclusion in this episode, where we see Liam and Charlie sit down at the piano to write some music together, and then Liam fucking sells his piano.
You love the idea that he is so, like, he's been a junkie for so long that even when he's trying to get clean, all he can think of is, okay, what can I steal and how can I sell it?
Right. Ostensibly, like, he does this so that he can get clean and be with his family, but he does it with a single, like, last fuck you to his own brother. I presume that is the same piano he was gifted, that Charlie was gifted as a child. Now, how they got it into this, London loft that Charlie's
heroin. That's how they got it up there.
Is that how they got it down to?
Yes.
How did Liam get that thing out of that loft, which we see the door that Charlie goes through whenever he comes home? The power of heroin is strong in this family. The Pace family. They love their heroin and they have backs like donkeys. Jesus Christ. We're killing Cara. Moving along. We brought it up sort of already. Charlie's straight up not having a good time. And he makes a really good point when everyone's talking about him being crazy, specifically like Mr. Echo's trying to talk to him. Charlie points out that not too long ago, Kate saw a horse.
Yeah.
Had a straight up vision of a horse that apparently, like,
Sawyer saw it too.
Sawyer saw it too, but like, did they go back? Like, how does Charlie know that?
Yeah.
Did they go back and be like, Charlie, you're not going to fucking believe this. I saw a horse.
That's what happened on day 53.
Yes.
Sawyer got drunk and was just like, and she drags me out. She's talking about seeing a horse. I don't know, man. I was still out of it.
Day 53, horse day. But in season 1, John was having prophetic dreams. Like, of all the characters that should be sympathetic to Charlie's cause,
He saw the plane crash in a dream before he went to actually find it.
yes, that's the whole reason they found the Beechcraft. It's the whole reason why Echo is there. It's the whole reason that Boone is dead, all because of John's prophetic vision. So the fact that he just sort of dismisses Charlie as being a crazy heroin addict, it's a little hypocritical of you, John. Not that that's too terribly out of character.
No.
And then, so in order to kidnap little baby turnip head Aaron, Charlie starts a little brush fire as a distraction.
We do get a nice moment where Saeed snaps into being the guy of action again. Like, he's the one who starts telling you go there, you need to get this. So this is what sets him up for, the next batch of episodes, a more active role again.
Yeah. And as Cara put here, did Sawyer really just try to put out a grass fire with a fucking blanket?
I mean, like, because, if it was like just a little small fire, like, yes, this was like fully involved fire. It's like, what are you going to do with the blanket?
Well, they also, they grab buckets Great. Good job. Run up to the fire. Observe that the fire is in fact happening, and then are like, go down to the water and go down to the ocean and get some water and bring it back. That should have been thing 2. Thing 1,
You mean,
get buckets. Thing 2, get water. Thing 3, go to fire.
but doesn't the water come out of the bucket?
After I'll explain the physics of it to you later.
Okay.
Yeah, that happens. Charlie kidnaps the baby. Wants to baptize it. It doesn't work out well for him.
Realizes when everyone is staring at him that maybe this is kind of a weird thing to do.
Yeah, the rest of these notes are a little bit all over the place. I put here that Hurley asks Libby, have we met? They haven't met before, but they've definitely seen each other. It's tragic.
We'll find out.
And I think it was Robert who put here that Libby seems to have recovered very well from the Taily trauma of just a few days ago.
Yeah, she's being flirty. She's trying on clothes that they're doing laundry for.
She is straight up horny for Hurley. Which I just decided is going to be the name of my autobiography.
I remember there were some jokes at the time about how Cynthia Watros, who plays Libby, her last big role before Lost had been on the Drew Carey show.
Oh my
So
God, that's right.
she preferred a heftier man.
Libby is a chubby chaser, confirmed.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nope. Oh man, thank you, Robert. I forgot that she was on the Drew Carey show. I used to fucking love that show. After this, we're watching all of the Drew Carey show and discussing that.
Okay.
Why isn't Ryan Stiles in more sitcoms?
True. Robert, I think you're the one who put here Charlie and his hood of evil.
Yeah, that becomes a thing he does. Is he puts up his hood all Nazgul style whenever he's up to nefarious deeds.
He's just like, for a more recent example, Daemon Targaryen on House of the Dragon, who has what the fans refer to as his murder hoodie. Anytime you see Daemon put on the murder hoodie, something terrible's about to happen.
I wish I had a murder hoodie.
Any hoodie can be a murder hoodie.
Would that this hoodie were a time hoodie. We're just going to keep peppering these episodes with references to other shows that we love. That was a Community reference for you, all out there if you've ever seen Community.
We don't get the time desk on Lost until season 4.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Anyway, I mean, it turns out to be more of a time wheel, but whatever. Robert pointed out here, after spending several episodes not really doing much in the background, Saeed snaps into action to fight the fire. That was nice to see. Robert, you tackle these last two here. Those were your notes.
Yeah, so I'm not going to get into the whole theology of baptism, but there's kind of a split on the meaning and purpose of it, and different denominations of Christianity kind of put different emphasis on this. One is the idea that it's an individual action. It's about being cleansed of sin. You're dunked in the water, you come up clean, and it's a metaphor for how like your sin is washed away. And the other one is the idea that it's a mark of a covenant, that infants are baptized as a way to join in the community of believers. So it's not just about what the individual goes through, it's about the obligation that everybody, both in their church and their family, the obligation that everybody takes on towards this new person who's come into the world. And Lost is a show that is very much about both the themes of what redemption means, what it takes to leave behind things that have haunted and defined and harmed you in the past, and also what it means to be part of a community, like what we owe to other people and what we go through together.
Holy shit.
So yeah, again, this is a season that I just find myself liking a lot of, because I was in middle school or early high school when I watched this the first time, so I wasn't thinking about it that much. But yeah, religion is a hard thing to do well in television, because you're either really didactic about it, like really preachy and upfront and just, well, obviously, this, and this, or it's being written by people who clearly don't understand it and view it as sort of a weird thing over there. And Lost is a show that I think deals with all of the weirdness and the mystery and the contradiction and the uncertainty. And like I said, this season I think is the one that dives hardest into that. One other last note, I mentioned that Echo tells the story of the baptism of Jesus, and it's interesting that Charlie also gets knocked into the water by someone named John, although it's less of a triumphant moment for him. But John Locke punches Charlie as soon as Aaron's out of his hands, and just punches him down into the surf. So kind of Charlie gets his own little baptism, but it takes him into the opposite, and we'll see over the next couple episodes, a much darker direction.
You've heard of baptized by fire? Well, here we've got baptized by punching. Something that I've wanted to try to keep track of as we go through is where our episodes are released. So of Long Walk Talks in relation to like when the episodes of Lost were airing. Because it typically would come out around this time on Wednesday nights on ABC. Now, this episode's coming out a night later. This is going to be released on Thursday, February 27th. But we are just 2 days away from the 19th anniversary of Season 2, Episode 15, Maternity Leave.
Whoa.
Which aired on March 1st, 2006.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking at the release dates here. There was like a weird 2-week gap between episodes for a stretch here, and I was going to say the Super Bowl probably accounted for one of them, but that was on a Sunday, so I don't know why. But anyway, the last episode that would have come out would be episode 14, one of them, which was on February 15th, 2006. So we're going to be watching all 3 of these episodes for our next batch here. So we're going to meet Henry Gale. It's time.
And the axis of gravity for this entire show changes.
Exactly. So the next 3 episodes that we're going to be watching are 213, The Long Con, 214, one of them, and 215, Maternity Leave, which we'll be watching, we're going to watch that this Sunday, so right after the 19th anniversary of Maternity Leave. That's weird. That's weird, right?
It is.
Yeah.
But our themed food that we decided, since Maternity Leave is a Claire episode, we're going to eat a bunch of tiny baby foods. Not baby food, although I did throw out that suggestion. We're talking
We could still do that.
We could puree things and put in tiny jars. It just can't be actual baby food.
Yeah. So we talked about like miniature corn dogs or pigs in a blanket and like baby corn, whatever.
Bagel bites.
Bagel bites.
Yes.
Or like pizza bites. That'd be fun. So we're just going to assemble
Pizza rolls. Yeah.
Assemble a bunch of tiny foods to eat.
The most important thing is that we never ever decide that there is a salad theme for this episode that takes place on a tropical island.
That sounds boring.
Ew.
Yeah. What are you thinking? That'd be like one night we just eat fruit.
Ugh.
Right? That's going to wrap us up. Robert, are you're still on social media? You're still hanging strong?
Yeah, occasionally I put on my own hoodie of evil and revisit Twitter, Facebook, or Bluesky, but yeah, not. I'm trying to do it less frequently.
I gotcha. Cara, you're not on social media?
Well, I mean, I am. I actually posted for the first time in like forever. Mostly just the tattoo I got.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Other than that, I don't post shit.
That's fair. You can follow me on Instagram if you want. I have very hard opinions about things, and I don't mind sharing them on my Instagram. So you might take umbrage with that. But if you want to, you can follow me on Instagram at DB Hensley. If you want to keep up with Long Walk Productions, you can visit us online at longwalk.us. To see more of our original work or hear past episodes that are no longer streaming, you can follow the YouTube links in the show notes. Thank you very much for listening, and if you enjoy this show or any of the shows on the Long Walk Podcast Network, please make sure to leave us a rating and a review on whatever platform you're listening on.